Dr. Malka Shabtay, applied anthropologist, filmmaker, and coacher, and video therapy student. My film title is Nafkot, which means yearning. Nafkot is in Amharic, and it means yearning.
ሙሽራ ቤት እነዚህ ባለጆች ናቸው ሳይረቡ መገደል አለባቸው ተብሎ ሙሽራ ቤት ሙሽራዎች እንዳሉ ሁለቱም ገደሏቸው።
መስዋዕትነትን እየከፈሉ ከዚህ ዓለም በሞት የተለዩ አባቶችና እናቶች እንዳሉ ለማንም ስውር አይደለም።
አዎ ብዙ ጊዜ የሚባሉት ነገሮች አይኖክ ናቸው ይባላል፣ ቡዳ ይባላል። በቃ ብዙ ጊዜ ቡዳ የሚለው ነው ታውቁት፣ ቡዳ ናቸው ይባላል። ይሄን ተብሎ የሚሰደቡት ሁለተኛ ደግሞ ሶስተኛ ይቀየራሉ፣ ወደ ጅብነት ይቀየራሉ ተብሎ ይቦታሉ። አካባቢ ላይ በጣም
በተለያየ ቦታ ትሄዳላችሁ ትሄጃለሽ በየአመቱ እንደገና ደግሞ ሌላም ቦታ ለምንድን ነው ወይም ደግሞ ለኛ ድብቅ ያረግሽው ለምንድን ነው?
ያንተ የአባት ሀገርና የእናት ሀገር ሞረት እዚህ ነው። በጣም በርካታ ቤተ እስራኤሎች ይኖራሉ። ዛሬ በአካል ስታየው ግን ተደስታል።
በጣም
በመጀመሪያ ያው የራሱን ማወቅ ያስፈልጋል። የራሱን አውቆ ነፃነት ይዞ መሰደድና መቸገር ይቻላል።
ወደ ሀገራችን ወደ እስራኤል ነው። ይሄ የመጀመሪያ ዓላማዬ ነው።
Sorry. And it's nice you catch me in between. I just returned 2 days ago from a short trip to Portugal, and I came back. And in 2 weeks, here is my surprise to you. In 2 weeks, I'm flying to the US for a big USA tour with my film. Some of it in Jewish communities and some of it in colleges, like almost 4 weeks. And we're starting in Miami, then DC, then New York, then LA, then San Diego, then Portland, then Boston, and ending up in New Hampshire.
Fabulous! When are you going to be in New York?
So in New York, we have 2 events that I'm looking forward to. One is in the, I think it's called the Sephardic Jewish Museum, and the second one is the Jewish Community Center in Harlem. It's supposed to be very interesting, and the dates I'm not sure because my coordinator is finalizing, but from what I see here, we will be in New York in the 3rd and 4th of April.
You're missing by a week. I could have interviewed in person about a week. The 23rd and 24th, we're having the screenings over here by me. And there's a huge Jewish community in Muncie.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm not the library where I'm going to be showing this interview and your trailer is about 5 miles from there.
So I advise you to do your advertisement.
Yes.
To this group. Also, I'm getting support from the Israeli embassy, actually Israeli consulate in New York, and they will advertise. I need to send them all the final information, and they will advertise in their newsletter and ways for that. And it's quite interesting. So your festival, you know, I will tell you this and you take it from here.
Okay.
Thanks God, it's now about a year since my film came out. I screened it in Israel. I screened it in Ethiopia. I went physically to a festival in London, got the first place. And so far, I got 32 awards.
Wow.
And we are still going. Now I'm going to this USA tour. But what I want to tell you, you know, every festival is different by many aspects.
Sure.
And when I started my way, my colleagues asked me, where are you going to send the film? Where are you, to which festivals you are going to send the films? Are you going to start with the festivals, like the big ones? And I said, no. For me, and we will talk about it more, for me, I know what are the several niche of festivals that are of interest to me. And there I want to go. Whether it's physically or only my film, it all depends. So I marked the categories of human rights, of interfaith or religion, of Africa, of women festivals with a conflict, and of course documentaries, and more specifically ethnographic film festivals. I said to myself, I want to see my film screened and laid, and also, if possible, win in these categories. That will be the recognition that I would like to get. And this is how I look for festivals, and this is how I choose festivals, because the big ones limit you for premiere or this or that or that. And I decided I don't want to be limited by any criteria of prestige. I want to choose where I want my film to be screened, who will go, who will be able to watch it. And that's what I'm doing now. And thanks God, in all the categories so far, the film got prizes. The first one was very exciting and created a lot of questions with me. The first prize, I was at that time in Ethiopia, coming back from something very late, and got a message from Cannes Film Awards, Cannes, something like this, Film Awards. And the first award I won is the best producer. And I was surprised. You know, I'm producer, I did this film, but I did not expect to be judged in this category. I was very surprised. So I almost fainted. My friends has to help me to keep up, because it was like the big thing, the first thing right away. Later on, I got awards in all the other categories of the film, which I'm very excited and happy. And it will be also presented in the film market in Cannes through one of the festivals that I won the first prize of the best ethnographic film, which is called Bridge of Peace. But what I want to tell you, it's a different attitude to what is usually called the industry, because I think it has to do with my own background and the way I entered the film world and where I'm going from here. So from here you can take it.
I think you're such a treasure, just like your movie. You're amazing.
You don't know. I went to films. I'm an anthropologist. I'm professor of anthropology of 40 years career in academia, and then with government and NGOs in Israel. 40 years, and I wrote 15 books. But when I was 60 years old, my sister arranged a big party for me with many of my friends. And they all told me, Malka, we think it's time to slow down. I say, I have breaking news for you. It's going to be the opposite. I decided I'm applying for film school. So I applied for film school. Formal, a master program in Tel Aviv University in the most prestigious film school. Now, I said, I wrote 15 books. I'm looking for other ways of expression. It was before the community told me we are ready to come out and tell our story. We'll talk about it. But in my acceptance interview, and I have something to share, this I don't want to say his name, but the person who interviewed me, the director of the program, he is a very successful world winner filmmaker. So he interviewed me and he said, Malka, why should I accept you? You already have a full career. We all read your books. Why should I accept you to start a new career in your age? Then he said, you are a single mother. Are you ready to pay 30,000 Israeli shekels for studying? You know, he said, there is a lot of homework, small exercise, readings. You are a very busy career woman. Would you be able to catch up? So I thought for a minute, and I answered to him, I would say, you could say very assertive, or even some kind of positive aggression. And I told him like this, look, I'm a single mother. I do a good job. It's my bank account is my own business first. The second thing I told him, you know, I have a feeling, a sense that I might be even better than you are doing films. I don't know. I have a sense of that. So I want to try. He was shocked and he accepted me. All the students were 30 years old from all over the world. It's an English program in English. And I was a very good student. I did all the exercises. Most of the teachers were my age or younger. And I had very good relationship with most of my colleagues. And I took like a mothering responsibility for the young students. Everyone with their things. There are only two people from this program actually made student films. In the last semester, I took a decision. There was the last semester I already went to Ethiopia, came back, started filming. I said, okay, I understand. My film is too big to be a student film and to be on the shelf in Tel Aviv University. I want the full authority on my film. So I left the fourth semester, saving 4,000 shekels. Everybody around was shocked totally. And I said, look, I have PhD degree already 25, 28 years. I don't need another master degree. I wanted to learn. I wanted to learn the language, the skills, to help me to think. And thanks God, I got the best team possible. My editor, although she just finished this same school, and it was her first very big film, she's a genius. She did amazing work, but the most important thing, she knew how to have dialogues with a professional anthropologist that brings some other things to this dialogue, but she's also a genius. Right now, she is a documentary filmmaking student in Berlin. Can you believe that?
Wow. Wow.
My cinematographer, I had two. The first one is just a photographer who are doing weddings, but I took him with me and he got some unbelievable shots in the film. And then I understand that I need second time to go to Ethiopia to establish the main figure of the film. So things happened I cannot even start telling you. And this most talented and one of the active filmmakers in Israel came to my home to get some advice for me on his personal filmmaking issues. And I told him I'm going to Ethiopia. He begged me to take with him. I said, I cannot pay you. You're in a different level. I cannot pay you. He begged me and begged me. Finally, he said, okay, you'll pay me in a year time. I'll take 1/3 of the thing, the price for you. So he was like amazing. And through him, I got the best colorist in Israel, the best sound people in Israel. And then the person who did the sound mix, I was in Brazil at that time. He called me Saturday morning in Rio de Janeiro on Copacabana Beach. He called me, he said, Malka, I have something very serious to talk to you. I said, yes. He said, I want to write original music to the film. I said, no, stop right there. I don't have a budget. I cannot pay for original music. I know what it takes. No. He said, I want to do it. I'll give you an offer that you will not be able to refuse because I want to do it. He's a musician. He has a band. So he gave me like a minimum addition, and he did the original music that go together with the sound music of the community. And that all the other things, and all these little miracles work very well. Then the time of paying came. Okay, this one said 1 year, this one said 1 year. Okay, then when the time came to pay for the post-production, by that time I already submitted the film to many film and TV grants in Israel. All wrote the same. Beautiful, amazing story, great cinematography, great way of editing and the sound things, ta. But we don't believe that the candidate can complete a film. They said that about me, right there. She started later. She might not have the full skills. And I got no. But I didn't stop. Now, the last miracle, I see it as a miracle, is a question of timing. I became 62 years old. In Israel, when you are 62 years old, you become a senior citizen. Yeah. So you have the right to take at one time all your retirement savings. This was $300,000, all my retirement savings. You either take it at one time and pay 35% tax, or you keep it and get every month some money. This is what most of the people do. So I said to myself, I want to do it now. This is not just another artistic film. It's the life of this community. And I have a full agenda how to use the film for the struggle. So I made one phone call. They said me, are you sure you are going to pay 35% tax? I said, yes, I'm sure. And I got all the money and pay all my debts. And this was it. And this is how things start moving. And just to tell you before you can take it anywhere, these days I'm working on two more films. One, I work about Jews who immigrated from Morocco to Amazonia in Brazil. From the 18th century, I filmed first in 2010. And in my last visit a few months ago in Brazil, I went very deep in Amazonia to find descendants of Jews who are now living as Catholics or evangelists, but they are from Jewish origin. And since 2010, I kept everything to these days. Now, this week, I have a meeting on the second rough cut with my editor. Now, you will surely ask, you don't have any money, you are totally broke. How can you have an editor and come to a second rough cut? So I say, when I don't have any money, God start working. So I just publish a small notice on Facebook, and I said, I'll send it out. Who knows? And I said, I'm looking for an editor with no budget. And this wonderful woman called me and she said, look, I was in high tech. I was very sick. I left high tech. I teach myself editing. Please take me. Give me a chance. So I gave her a chance. And she happened to be very, very serious, hardworking woman. And we are now in the second draft cut. And I'm very strict. We did the teaser 5 times. We work on every little detail because, of course, I have now more knowledge to it. So now she's in the second draft cut. I'm still trying to find some funds for the post-production because I already talked with a very special singer, Israeli singer that lives in Morocco and actually now is in Brazil, to give me her voice for the film. Now, I know it will cost a lot, but I'm negotiating and I'm still hoping. So this is one film. The next film, I'm working another miracle. I have a first film. I will tell you about it in a minute, but I screened it in an ethnographic film festival in Belém, in Amazonia. And when it was, I usually sit by myself for the first screening. I need to be very, very inside. So when the light came out, I saw a lot of people around coming, crying, hugging, talking. And then I see one person sitting in my row, older person, 80 years old. He waited for everyone to say something, and then he came to me and said, Malka, I want to give you my feedback, but for this you need to come to my hotel after dinner. I said, what? what the hell is that? And I asked my colleague professor, who is this person? What does he want? And he said, if this person asks you to come, you don't walk, you run. This is the most important Brazilian filmmaker of Amazonia. His name is Jorge Bodansky. And his best colleague, go, just go. So it was a little bit rainy, and I was walking in the streets of Belém. I don't know if you know this wonderful city. Mangoes fall off the trees on your head, and you just walk like this. Yeah, it's true. I went to his hotel. To make a very long story short, we start talking. He said to me, Malka, I want you to make a film with me your way. I want to make a film your way. I said, I think you are mistaken. I only did this one first film and I didn't finish the second one yet. You did 50 films. What do you mean I want to do a film your way? I don't have a way. I just did one. I want to do it your way. Then we talked a lot. I can tell you that. I asked him, what is your next film? He told me, for 10 years I was trying to make a film about Brazilian historian Anita Novinsky, who explored the Inquisition and then Novocristianos or Maranos in Brazil. She died last year, but I know her from childhood and I did 70 hours footage. I said, I don't believe it. I met her once. We became very close. Wow. So he said, I want you to go to Sao Paulo, meet her family, and we'll take decisions. I came to Sao Paulo. I went to the family. The person who is in charge on the archive talked to me and he said, you are going to make the film. Your personality is just like her. I came to the hotel and at 3 o'clock in the morning, I wrote the basic synopsis. I knew what kind of film I want to do. So by now we have a teaser. I have 70 hours footage translated to English. And I collaborate with the Jewish Museum in Sao Paulo and a new Jewish museum that will be built in Tangier in Morocco. But our producer, for personal reasons, left, and we are in the point that George Bodansky is looking for a new producer. And this is a whole new game. I'm the scriptwriter and I'm the co-director. We want to film in 5 continents.
Wow.
And I just came back from Lisbon and seeing all kinds of things that relate to our film. Of course, we will come and film there. We'll meet the Pope. We'll go to the Inquisition archives. But this is a big international production that is very new for me. I don't even believe that I'm into this story. And actually, I'm leading it because it was me who led the teaser. So what I want to tell you, I found myself in the world of filmmaking. Remember the words of the person who interviewed me. And to say last for that, these days, I'm also a student of video therapy. I'm a coacher. I'm working with women with long life trauma and some other things, and Ethiopians and all of that. And I'm a student of video therapy. And I started to make a film with my mother. My mother is 86 years old with dementia, with bad dementia for short-term memory, but her long-term memory is open. So she told me, Malka, you make all these big films very successfully. She wrote 3 books on the story of her life, and she said, I want to make a film of my own with you. I said, okay. She said, I want to be part of everything, from the research, for the decisions, and said, okay, I understand that there is a big video therapy project. Okay, we are filming now. We choose locations where she has deep experiences and memories. We find people that's still alive, that were meaningful for her life. I can't even start to tell you, one day I will make an international event around this film with God help. It's not easy because we are using few days of shooting. We use a lot of home videos that she filmed since the first grandchild was born. And she was always a obsessive collector of photography. She picture a lot, she film a lot. So I need the next very genius editor to deal with it. Maybe it will be the first one or the second one. But with God help, step by step. Take it from me.
I love your passion. You
Thank
know,
you.
yes, you know, the film is gorgeous. It's so well shot. It's so well made. I would never guess, you know, this is a first time filmmaker, but you learn the training in the Israeli Film School Film University. So I mean, kudos to them. They got to be doing something right. But I think you probably could have done it even on your own because I think you have that you're a student of life, it seems, you know, and of people and of what they connect with, which I think is sometimes a shortcoming as a filmmaker. Do you know what I mean? Because we want to tell you know, this specific avenue no matter what. But you know, it seems like you can open it up to your subjects to be at the forefront, and their tradition to be at the forefront and their struggle to be at the forefront. So just gorgeous, gorgeous. I also love because I think America is severely ageist, but it sounds like it happens in Israel as well. Yeah, you know, there's Dr. Soto, I believe his name of is of, you know, he did the study on water, how, you know, if we go to a bottle of water and say you're beautiful, you know, you're lovely, you're talented, you're gifted, and then he went to another bottle of water and said to it, you're ugly, you're terrible, you know, and then afterwards he studied the molecules, and the molecules of the first bottle of water looked brilliant and like a flower and just gorgeous, and then the second, of course, you know, it looked terrible and it looked very decrepit. So, I mean, I think we all have to be aware of, you know, we have a lot more power, I believe, than society allows us to think. Um,
Yeah,
you
you know,
know,
I want to tell you, in many festivals and grants, they write, we look for young, talented filmmakers. So I did a lot of talks so far. So I open and say, they all look for young, talented filmmakers. Here I am. I am also young, talented filmmaker, not by my age, but I'm only 3 years in this new way of expression. And in the Jerusalem Film Festival, I gave a master class for students from Hebrew University. And what they are interested a lot is my journey from being an applied anthropologist to documentary filmmakers and back. Because what I want to tell you is that making the film is just a starting point. It's not an end for itself. I did the film with the community to help them go through a new process of coming out. I can talk and write a lot about the processes within the community from the first time they say, no, 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 don't shoot anything. We are still afraid, to the people who take decisions, let's go with it. To the time when I came to Ethiopia to screen it in Addis Ababa University with many, many people, and they say, stop it, don't do it. It will make our life more dangerous. Then they agreed, and then they came. And what happened with the Israeli ambassador and with other people there, and how many Christian organizations start calling us, asking to make new dialogues between Christians and Jews in Ethiopia.
wow.
The biggest thing I will tell you, I'm working with the mayor of Addis Ababa, together with the community leaders. And because of the film, although we started long ago, because of the film that very high people watched it, we got land for Jewish cemetery for the first time in history in Ethiopia. And then a land to build up a permanent synagogue and community center. This is why me and the leader of the community is also in the film, Balai Metazepku. We are going together to the US also for fundraising and creating connections. Also in Israel, I showed the film several times. Now I'm doing another round of screening. But because of the film, I create connections between the veteran Ethiopian communities that are already in Israel and this community. Now, the older generation of Ethiopian Jews in Israel, when they watch the film, they cry throughout the film. I say, why? They say, first, it reminds us our life and traumatic experience. But secondly, we have very big guilt feelings. We know about them. We always knew about them, but we forgot about them. We didn't do anything for our sisters and brothers, and here you come to wake us up. The young generation tell me, Malka, our parents and grandparents never told us about this community. They are our sisters and brothers. We want to come, we want to help, we want to be involved. And already a lot of people visiting there and doing things. And I work with the government and parliament members and rabbis. And I'm telling you, of 5 intensive years, thanks God, like 3 months ago, 2 months ago, no, 3, one of the most important Orthodox rabbi from Israel that I collaborate with him went to Ethiopia. And I've been talking to him 5 years, begging him to go and see for his own eyes. Finally, he went. And I was also successful to bring the community spiritual leader to study 3 months in Israel. And I brought the heroes of the film for a visit in Israel to go around and talk. And this was the most exciting thing. And now we are doing the USA tour. Now, I shall tell you something else. I know you, by now you think that I'm totally crazy. Now you will be shocked.
No.
While we were doing the film, we also decided to work on a book. So for 2 years, we work on a book together with our editor from New Hampshire, Dr. Marla Brecht-Schneider. She's one of the world's experts on Judaism in Africa. Wow. And she heard me talking about this community 3 years ago in a conference in Miami. So she's calling me and said, Malka, I got an opportunity to do a book for about a community. I want to do a book with you. I said, no. I don't write any academic books or chapters or anything anymore. Leave me alone. Give me a break. My colleagues in the community are not academics as well. She said, I have the best editor in the world, which happened to be, her name is Nina from Boston too. And she worked like crazy with all of us for 2 years. Most of the chapters are written by people from the community. Wow. And the chapter on history, the chapter on Jewish culture, and one chapter about by a non-Jewish researcher who also give us another perspective. And I wrote a chapter about living with long life trauma as a community. And Marla added her things. And, I was in Sao Paulo at that time. In the evening, I was working with Nina, the editor in Boston. Later on, I was working with Naama, my editor of the film. Like between a film and a book, in 2 years, how can you do it? It was crazy. One time, she worked with Balaynet Azebko on his chapter for 8 hours through. He's in Boston, she's in Addis Ababa. So what I want to tell you, all of us went into a very, very extensive experience because we knew we're doing something very big and historical. I can tell you a lot of things, how other diverse communities from Africa call me, beg me to come and witness them. Already the Lemba Jewish community of Zimbabwe asked me to make a film. The leader was just here last month, and we already put the outline for a film. I said, look, if you bring the budget, I can make everything with you. But I give you an idea. You start to make the film. I'll guide you how to do like homemade filming with 100-year-old people that still have the history in their heads. And when the time comes and the budget comes, I will work for you. But it's only collaboration. I don't do anything from the outside. It always must come together. So many things happen with it. And in Israel, we have an expression. When we want to say about someone that he is living in another world, a little bit imaginary or something, you say, you live in the movies. She lives in the movies. So when people say how I am doing, I say, I live in the movies. Because it is the truth. I'm dealing with my film and films a lot. I've not been working. I stopped working like I'm a senior citizen. So although I get very small budget from the government, it's not enough for anything. And I just took yesterday another loan. But I feel that it's a transition time in my life. With God help, we will sell Nafkot. I believe that the day will come that we will be able to sell Napcot, so I can be able to keep some for my retirement, which I'm already in this, and give the most of it, or at least half of it, for the community to build up the synagogue and the community center. This is my dream. This is how I feel that I will complete the cycle. And now we are going to the US. Of course, I said I will not go without a community leader. He needs to be there, speak for himself, and so on. And I'm learning a lot. And what I want to tell you that the best way I'm learning, or the most I'm learning from, is the feedback I get from filmmakers, from simple people, from my mother's colleagues. When I got back to Israel, my mother asked me to screen the film in her elderly village. I said, these are very old people. Many has memory issues. The film is 70 minutes. How they can sit and watch? Let's give it up. She said, please do it for me. I did not even agree to get any payment. I said, no, I do it for my mother. And I was scared. Look, for 2 hours and even more, nobody even moved from his chair. They were looking at it. They come, they hug me, they ask me questions, they gave me advices. And when it all ended up, they came to my mother and tell her, what did you give her to eat in her childhood that made her? And for me, I saw my mother very proud in a simple way. You know what I mean? She's part of my life, but she gets more sources of pride and happiness. For 5 years, I left my daughter, I left my mother. I'm coming back. I'm never in Israel in the high holidays. I didn't tell you, but I have one daughter. She's almost 20 years old. She's now a soldier in a combat unit. It's not easy for me at all, but we work it out together with us so I can realize my dreams. I do a lot of things for her and with her. Now, it's not easy for me to go to the US because after 6 months of very tough training and service, she's getting 2 weeks holiday and I'm going to be in the US. Not easy for me, but what I want to tell you, my daughter keeps telling me, Ima, Mom, I'm learning from you the most important thing. There is nothing in the world that I can dream of and not realize. And if it doesn't work one way, it will work another way. And money is not the key for success and realizing your dream. And many people ask my daughter, for sure you want to be an anthropologist and travel the world like your mom, da, da, da. She said no, even when she was 15. She said, no, I want to be a medical doctor, a surgeon, and work in Africa. And for me, I fully succeeded because she has her own dreams. She wants to do good in the world. She loves people. She's comfortable with people. Since she was 15, she was with me in Zimbabwe and Ethiopia and Brazil and so on and so on. And she appreciates and support my work. You know what she's telling me these days? She's worried about me. She became the adult in the family. She tell me, Mom, I want to ask you only 2 things. Go on. 2 things. You are so dedicated to the films and the projects you are doing. You gave up your retirement grant. Please don't sell our house. That's the only thing we have. She's worried about me. And the other thing she's telling me, we can live modest life. There is no problem with it. There is an Israeli dish called shakshuka. It's just a quick thing from eggs and tomato sauce. She loved it. And she said, as long as I have it, when I come home, we can live very modest. Don't worry about anything. And she told me, thanks God, I talk with my friends. I don't have to worry about you. You have meaning and mission in your life. So that's a lot for a young person. I don't have to worry about you. You are having your life. And I didn't tell you, but I gave birth when I was 44. That was the time when I was ready. And I feel that this is the right and perfect model for me. And it goes throughout my life. You see, I went to film school when I was 60. I gave birth when I was 44. And nowadays, I just returned from Portugal. I became European citizen. I got my European passport as well to allow my daughter later on to get one and be able to study in Europe if she will choose so. And now for me to even be able to apply for grants in Europe that are better chances than Israel. And what I want to tell you, there is no time for anything. The only time is your inner time. I'm really feeling that, I'm almost 64. In 2 months, I will be 64. But I feel that there is so much waiting for me. I'm doing a lot of things. I have a lot of plans. I can't even tell you how the next year is going to look. But one thing I want to share with you, I love to support people, countries, universities that are not need external support. And one of those issue programs, I will be going in December to South Sudan.
Wow.
They don't have film school. They have one young man who is doing film festival every year after he went to study filmmaking in Kenya.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And big hugs to you, big hugs to your daughter and your mom. I think you're a beautiful, brilliant woman.
Thank you.
Yes.